Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a review for See No Evil 2, obviously a sequel to the original movie, simply called See No Evil. So this is a WWE production. If you don't know what that means, basically WWE is a wrestling company, which is very sort of big across the world, mainly in America. And they've kind of, within the last few years, began to produce their own movies, this being the sequel to the original See No Evil. And this actually stars one of their wrestlers, who is known as Kane, or Glenn Jacobs is his real name. Anyway, basically the original See No Evil was kind of a slasher flick, and I have seen that movie, I have to say, but I've really forgotten it, if I'm quite honest. So I went in this movie not really remembering much from the original movie, but I will say this movie does have quite a few flashbacks throughout the film to kind of just keep you up to speed, because it has been a little while since that sort of first one came out, so don't feel like you have to sort of watch this for the first one, basically. Anyway, so the story here is a group of friends basically are having a party in a mortuary where a couple of them work. So it's one of these sort of girls' birthdays. She invites a few friends over, they kind of turn up, basically celebrate her birthday in this kind of mortuary. And basically this film takes place immediately after the original film, and the killer's body, along with some of his victims, are being transported by this mortuary to this sort of mortuary to sort of be worked on and whatnot. And of course, Jacob Goodnight, who is our killer, played by Kane, is not really dead, or at least he's back from the dead. We don't really explain, to be honest. And he awakens to wreak havoc on those partygoers who are trapped now inside this building. And that's basically the plot. So the actual plot here is obviously not going to be anything new. It is paper thin. It is basically a slasher running around chasing kids in a sort of large building. That is it. That is the plot. So I have to say the WWE have quite a lot of money behind them, so if you're expecting high production values, I have to say it does actually look quite good. It actually looks like it's a well-made professional film. And I have to say, Kane makes for a pretty scary bad guy. He's a big guy, so he makes like quite an intimidating slasher in the kind of the vein of, you know, Michael Myers or kind of Freddy Krueger, stuff like that. So he's quite a good screen presence for the kind of that kind of slasher genre. But I have to say this movie is really kind of basic and very kind of stereotypical, and has some major logic issues, which are my kind of major thing here. Now I can kind of appreciate just a kind of run-of-the-mill slasher film as much as anyone else. Yes, there's only so many things you can do with this kind of genre to sort of make it original, so I appreciate some of these films just simply are just going to be the same plot rehashed, but they can still be enjoying because of that. But this movie had so many issues that I kind of just brought it down, unfortunately. So within the cast, you have Katharine Isabelle, who I guess is probably, apart from Kane, is going to be the kind of the actress who you're most going to recognise here. And she's normally pretty good. She was in Ginger Snaps, if you've seen that. She was in the American version of Being Human. And I have to say, she's always been pretty good, but here she overacts terribly. I don't know why she decided to kind of overdo it in this particular role, but she's absolutely horrible in this role. The rest of the cast, I have to say, did an okay job though. There's just some basic logic issues. Now, in a lot of these sort of slasher films, you'll find there's going to be some reason why they can't call for help. So in this one, we're told that all their phones are kind of locked in this safe. Great, okay. Sorted out the mobile phones. But this is a modern building. So it's not like some old dilapidated house. This is a modern hospital. These kids end up getting trapped in here. No one pulls the fire alarm. This will be the next logical thing, surely. I mean, we see that the electric's been disabled, but there are illuminated fire exit signs, in which case the fire alarm system is fine. Why doesn't anyone pull the fire alarm? First point of case. Okay, you could argue that's a little bit nitpicky. This mortuary is massive, far bigger than anyone I've ever seen, and Kane seems to know his way around it inside out, whilst we've got people working in here seem to just not have keys, running around sort of doors, trying to open doors that are locked. And it's like, how is this, this isn't right, this shouldn't be, it's not logical. And the main issue I have, to be honest, if you're looking at logic issues, is the killer, played by Kane, seems to be able to teleport. So he just seems to be able to sort of get in front of people who have clearly sort of had a head start running on him without making any sound, and kind of lock up all these kind of doors and things like that, and just seems to sort of get ahead of people and just seem to be in the right place, be behind doors where people just have to sort of, run in front of, things like that. throughout the movie, and it's so, you can get away with it maybe once and it kind of just, sort of be a fluke, but this just keeps happening again and again and again. It's really, really lazy, unfortunately. So unfortunately this movie is fraught with kind of just these very sort of cliche problems, very kind of just lazy sort of storytelling. Yes, I think Kane makes quite an intimidating bad guy, but the actual film that he's in here is just so just run of the mill and just doesn't feel like it's had any real effort. The script really needs some work here to make this kind of a more interesting film. And I have to say, the ending, the climax of this film is weak sauce. I won't spoil it for you, but it is just a very disappointing climax, I have to say. It's kind of got a little bit afterwards, but the actual climax, the final confrontation, weak, and then the obvious kind of extra scene, shall we say. So I have to say I was kind of disappointed with this movie. I was actually expecting quite a lot. Not that I remember the original film loads, but I think the first one was a lot better. It had a little bit more to it, and I think it had a bit more atmosphere here. This one, I have to say, was a decidedly below average slasher flick. It doesn't look bad, as I say. It's kind of quite well made. And like I said, I think Kane could have a job as a sort of horror slasher actor, or Glenn Jacobs as I should call him really. Anyway, I'm going to have to give this movie a 4 out of 10. It's a below average slasher film, but if you're a big fan of slasher films or you like Kane, you may want to check it out anyway. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.